Welcome to Class 2. So you have met your team leader, your team, and some of the people from our team at World Renewal Brazil. Hopefully, you are getting a better idea of the ministry in Brazil and our heart to follow Jesus.
As a team, it's very important that you know what the objectives and the focus of your trip is. So hopefully as a team you put that together so it's very clear to everyone what it is.
Each version of this 1X skit begins at the same point in time and space. A person from the USA called Foreigner is standing beside a river. The river is dangerous to cross due to currents and depth, and the locals tell the foreigner that they want to cross. The skit now begins with the foreigner's response to one of the locals. The foreigner offers to carry the local across. The local accepts and leaps onto the foreigner's back. Like a ballerina, the foreigner starts stepping from stone to stone, but soon the foreigner becomes fatigued and has to put the local on a rock midstream. The foreigner goes back to shore and promises the foreigner will return. But the foreigner never does return, and the local is left alone and hopeless on the rock. The foreigner offers to carry the local across. The local accepts and leaps into the foreigner's arms. The foreigner gingerly steps stone to stone across the river and successfully carries the local across. The foreigner's feeling proud and starts strutting back and forth. And the local waves to his village and calls his friends over. I'll show you the way to Super Foreigner. He'll carry you back and forth across the river. So the foreigner proudly begins carrying locals back and forth across the river. He carries a few locals. Each of them are very eager and happy. They think it's great fun. But once, when he gets across the river, they begin arguing about who's next and how many times they get to be carried. This bickering keeps the foreigner from helping people, but honestly, he is getting tired and wouldn't have been able to help much longer. He staggers away, tired, aching, disillusioned, and all the locals are upset why he is leaving. Foreigner says he is from the USA and has knowledge and experience on how to cross rivers. He has never been to this river, but he still knows the best way for the local to cross. Confidently, the foreigner tells the local to go from stone to stone across the river. Foreigner tells the local, watch me at all times and to step where I point. With some guesses and mistakes and even some retracing, the foreigner tries to guide the local across the river. Finally, the local reaches the other bank and leaps in happiness on the bank of the river. He thanks Foreigner and walks away. Foreigner feels good about how much he helped the local. He tells the local to wait, though. He tells him to come back. He wants to take many pictures to show the people in the USA. So he crosses the river, taking pictures and posing. The local watches Foreigner as Foreigner begins examining the photos. Local just shakes his head and walks back towards his village. The local knew where some rocks were that could have been helpful, but he didn't tell Foreigner because it would have been an insult to Foreigner's pride. The local felt good about letting the foreigner think he had been helpful. Foreigner looks at the local and asks, "How do you cross the stream?" The local explained that some stones were just below the surface of the water and that he usually tried to jump from one stone to the other. However, the stones were so far apart that he usually fell in the water and had to wade or swim. The foreigner explained that he also knows where some rocks are located and that maybe they could be used together and they crossed the river. So together, the local and the foreigner teach each other where the rocks are located, and they begin to cross. Slowly, carefully, teaching each other, they eventually cross to the other side. By the time they cross the river, each has learned what the other knew. And now both can safely cross the river whenever they want. But even more importantly, the local can teach his friends how they too can cross safely. They collapse to the ground to talk, for the experience has given each one a respect for the other. The foreigner says that this incident reminds him of a story about a man who helps all people cross from danger to safety. The local asks, "I want to hear this story." The local stands at the edge of a stream like someone frozen mid-stride. He can't believe his eyes. Sitting on a rock in the middle of the stream is a friend from a nearby village. The friend has a sad face and puppy dog eyes. "What are you doing?" asks the local. "Oh, the foreigner carried me to this rock and has left me," wailed the friend, tilting his head back and swooning. The friend continues, "I must now just wait here for someone to carry me back to shore." The other local replies, "I cannot carry you, but the foreigner and I work together to discover a way across this river. I can help teach it to you." The friend in the water leaps to his feet and begins jumping like a kangaroo. Show me," the friend yells. Local carefully points and talks the friend back to the shore. "Now I too can show others how to cross," says the friend. They shake hands and each skips with glee back to their village.
So CHE stands for Community Health Evangelism. You can find out more at CHE Network, but it's a really great training and they use it around the world. And as it says, it's about holistic ministry that transforms community. And it just is right along the lines of what World Renewal stands for and believes. And so we were grateful to be able to get that training. But really digging into some questions about the river crossing skit. What parts really caught your attention? Which parts, so like there was 5 different skits. So which ones represented which things? Which ones represented relief or example of relief or doing something for someone? Which ones were an example of betterment and helping, which I say would kind of be like step 2. And then which ones were development and empowering. And that's really where we're headed. That would be like the goal of what we're trying to do. Which one of those skits were those things? And so it has a description here of each of those 3 things and basically some explanation. So when is it good to do relief? Relief could be for crisis. You would do relief after like disaster relief. Betterment would be persistent needs that are not going away. So helping so you could, what do you think are some examples? And then development and empowering, long-term need, holding the community back. So what are the long-term needs that there are in the community? And then how can those be helped? And you know, a lot of these things we probably won't know as a short-term business trip. The short amount of time that we're there, getting to know a community and their long-term needs will probably not be the top of our list, but it is for the missionaries who are serving there, which is so great that we get to work with them. We're working off of all of their wisdom and expertise that they've been spending years to build up. And that's what's so great about partnering with other people who know what they're doing, is you get their all of the knowledge that they've built up, which is really great. And it requires us to trust. It requires us to trust that they know what they're doing, and we're going to trust them and do it their way, even if it doesn't seem exactly like the way we would have chosen. All good trips with long-term impact. Remember those words, long-term impact. That's what we're going for in our short mission, our short trip. We're looking for long-term impact. And there's 4 things that are key to having a long-term impact. And those are, you can look at them with me, development. So not relief, not what betterment. Those might be involved in some things, but going for the development. Local ownership and responsibility. Local ownership and responsibility. What does that mean? Have a discussion about that with your team. And multiplication factor. How can this be sustainable? Not just add 1 more, add 2 more, but multiply times 2, times 3, like really grow. And then integration, faith and works together. So talking about the faith aspect, which of course is so important. And then also the whole thing of how can I listen when my tummy is rumbling, you know, for those children who are sitting there. How can they listen to Jesus and hear all that he wants to share with them when there's that persistent hunger that's in your face kind of thing. So connecting those to a holistic ministry of serving the whole person and being balanced. So it's important for us to give vision rather than action plans, pose problems rather than solutions, and to use dialogue rather than lecture. Portuguese basics. There's 5 different sections here of words. He covers 1 in each video. So these are the words that are covered in those 5 sessions. And it's important for you to figure out your own goals and how you can learn best. I feel like everybody learns languages a lot different. It took me a good 9 months of immersion before I really felt like I could go around Brazil on a public transportation and not be very worried for my safety and that I could make it back from where I started. And yet it took my husband about 3 months. In the end, what matters is having an open heart, willing to try, willing to attempt, willing to work with different Brazilians to get to an understanding that you can work for. So we put some ideas here and we say, please choose at least 3 of these different ideas, watching the 5 videos that Cade has from that Portuguese list. Fill out the prayer pal. Just kind of working through and thinking about your favorites of stuff and how to say those in Portuguese. We have a worship in Portuguese page. This is what we do oftentimes with children in children's church that want to learn more about missions. I loved the book Portuguese in 10 Minutes a Day. They help you make like flashcards. They have little stickers. You can like label things in your house to learn things. And I just loved how that worked. That was great for me. Duolingo is a great app. Watching YouTube videos that teach Portuguese. All you gotta do is learn Portuguese. Learn Portuguese for children. It's fun. They got a lot of songs and stuff. Watch movies in Portuguese or put it on the subtitles just to be like getting a little familiar with what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it tastes like, you know, whatever you can do to be a little more prepared definitely helps. Class 2 homework. So this is also from the Che program talking about holistic ministry. And we talked a little bit about that, and that is basically having a balance and a unity between faith and works. You know, we talked about in James, faith without works is dead. Just ministering to the whole person and what that means, and they're digging into scripture for that.